you put in front of those.
Well, I'm not going to, all my questions get cut out.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to talk for a minute, do you know what you want to say?
I kind of. It won't take me 2 minutes to talk, so let me go into it. And we've lost only 2 minutes.
Well, then I can just go ahead and ask you some questions then when we're done
Mm-hmm.
to see what I get. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if it's,
Or if you want me to change it or do it better or something.
I think it's best if you do that, though, that you look at me
Okay.
rather than right into the camera. Go ahead, just
Okay.
take it out bars and that may be a tad hot. Or is
It's
it
not too bad.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and talk, go ahead.
Okay. When they started this college in 1891, there was a few people that had great dreams for the institution. President Hayes wanted to move over to this campus, into this city, for given reasons, well documented over time. But it was not Hayes's dream that made the school. What made the school was a group of faculty. And I'm not old enough to remember all of them, or some of the oldest alumni are old enough to remember those founding faculty. But I do know from 1930 on that this school was totally built, saved year after year by a quality faculty. Reynolds, Sampson, Freckert, Smith, Williams, Westlink, Zaleski. These types of people made this school something special. And it's what made students want to come here. And there were some trustees, like Zeno White, would hire a cutter and go out in the middle of the winter to recruit a student. Now, often the student was coming for football or basketball, if you remember Zeno White. But he stayed on them, and they got good grades, or he wouldn't help them. And there's one story about a student going home at Thanksgiving time because his grades were so bad and he was homesick and didn't come back to school. And Zeno hired a cutter and went out, got that student, and brought him back and helped tutor him. So there was trustees like Zeno White and Edson. Edson spent his entire fortune for this school. But I don't think he spent it for the school, or maybe even sometimes for students. He spent it because he believed in the faculty. He believed in the faculty. Today, we've got faculty members that are going to be remembered forever for students. They're going to be quoted by students as people that changed their lives. And that today is what this school is. Oh yes, there's wonderful facilities, there's an endowment, there's winning athletic teams. Those things are all nice things to have, but people wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the faculty. And I include the coaches in that. A lot of students come because of coaches, and they want to learn and grow under them. There's some interesting things that have happened at this school, but most of them have been through faculty dedication.
One of the things that John Madsen said when we were talking about the future,
Mm-hmm.
which really struck me, he said, you know, what really, where Buena Vista College will make its mark, where we'll really be great, is because of values, and that we bring that
Mm-hmm.
to education. What do you?
Why do I talk about faculty? I think faculty have the time and the disposition to base their life on value. And it's been the faculty members that I've quoted, the values that they've given to students that have caused the students to go forth and do well, that has set the tradition here. And this institution to truly make it as a marvelous institution that adds value to one's life. More value than any place else will come from values. And I find that's what the faculty have time to struggle with, to work on, and impart. When a faculty member says to a student, I could make $2,000 or $3,000 a day consulting, but that doesn't give me pleasure like working with you as a student does. Or when a faculty member says, all my life I wanted to be famous, but I decided I'm going to be famous by the names of those that were my students, and their fame will be my fame. Those are values. That's the center of why a lot of people are teaching here.
This is something we talked about, I think, a couple of weeks ago. It's this entire college is built on a selflessness, a giving. I mean, you see it in the pages of Cumberland's history. It makes you almost cry. It's a big mistake to think that because of the Siemens gift and all the other things that have happened at college, that all of a sudden Buena Vista is now on Easy Street. That really, there are even greater challenges lying right around the corner for us.
Many people think that today the college is more secure than it has ever been. Many people think that the college is very expensive. Many people believe that the college doesn't have need. By need, I mean support of other people, encouragement by other people. The truth is that it's in one of its most difficult stages it's ever been. There was a point when the enrollment was so bad that they imported students from all over the country, basically to stay out of the war in Vietnam. The students lacked direction. They lacked commitment to education. Their commitment was possibly to stay out of Vietnam. Those students and those times taught us that to be the cheapest school, or to be the school that serves each national need, or in times of war, lose enrollment and every national disaster hurts the school, that the school couldn't be the cheapest school, couldn't be serving these trends, but had to establish a value that it was in quality education. In the early 80s, it thought that it had enough money to find out what quality education was, and it could be in the ballpark of a very good quality education. We're finding out that, yes, we can be a better school, but the people know what greatness is, and there isn't a person satisfied on campus with the amount of funds they have, with the amount of opportunities they are giving students, or the amount of resources we have per student. This is quite a serious issue, because great colleges have good morale, and people teach from the feeling of they're doing the best possible for their students that can possibly be done. And at one time, when the faculty went without salaries, and the school would borrow some coal from somebody else and not pay for it for 4 or 5 years, they felt that pride because the students coming to school had no money either. And so they knew that they were giving an education, not the best education in the world, but they knew that they were giving an education that those students could never, ever get someplace else unless they sacrificed and made it. That's not true today. There's parents that graduated from Harvard today that say they aren't going to put Harvard salary into their kids. lives. They can go to some other school that's less expensive. But if we only catered to that type of student, that type of parent, our quality would go down and down and down. And the best faculty would leave, the best administrators would leave. So basically, we're in a tremendous crisis. Every year, we could spend $1 million, $1.5 million just in the library annually, more than we are. And we would still be 50 to 60 years behind in our holdings. It's impossible to catch up your past. And our problem is we want to be equal to today and fill in all the voids and gaps of our past. And we can't do it all, and it's very depressing. Once in a while, like when a camera comes on and we have a chance to look back, then we get our pride back. I don't like any of that series. I kept trying to find one point for you to grab, and I didn't get there.
There's a couple there. This is a kind of a bald question, and one that I suspect you don't really want to answer because you don't want to dictate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's an important one, and that is for someone who spent the last 16 years moving the college from one place to another, what's next? What, if you could sum it up in a couple of sentences, what is your vision for the future? Or at least where do you think the future lies?
The most exciting part of where Buena Vista College is today is it's on the threshold of having a spirit amongst itself where every faculty knows what knowledge every graduate has, and every graduate knows what they know, and they have the confidence to go forth and to risk that confidence, to take risks beyond their known talent, and continually, because they have the confidence, come up finding they're bigger than they ever knew they could possibly be. Now, why aren't we there yet? Because this spirit can only be built from a community that is willing to say, I will sacrifice everything I possess for that spirit. And the institution, though on the threshold of finding this spirit, has yet to find the one universal idea that builds the whole community together. And that can come from only one place: these dedicated faculty. Now, over the years, I find it interesting to watch faculty grow. The first 2 or 3 years they're on the campuses, they want to copy everything that their major professor had while they were working on their doctorate degree. They wanted all the authority, all the autonomy, and all the righteousness of that person. And they get a little frustrated on campus. And then about the 4th year, they really start contributing to the total growth of the campus, because those new ideas that they brought with them, they've learned how to explain it to the older faculty. And the older faculty of this campus are terribly excited about ideas. And so they listen to those things. But when you have the combination of those things, and you know we've gone from 50 faculty members to over 70 faculty members in less than 5 or 6 years, we've got a lot of young faculty members. And for us to find that universal spirit that builds our students into our own graduate, unique from all other institutions, is hard to find right now, even though that opportunity is with us, is because we're so young. If I was here 4 or 5 years, I might not yet want to dedicate my life to that one universal idea. After all, I might be able to go to another school that has research as a priority and win a Nobel Prize. I have to somehow dedicate myself into this school. And that's hard to do. But that's all we lack from being among the great colleges. All great colleges know who they are and what they do.
And that's part of the real crisis that you talked about earlier, where we are.
Mm-hmm.
That the most precarious position is,
That's what I did all day today.
I mean, in essence, what you're suggesting is where the decade of the 80s has taken us out of the frying pan and put us into the fire.
For us to improve the kids' financial aid package takes $1.6 million out of the budget. If we do, one, takes $3.2 million to get to cover 90% of their need. $3.2 million means that the college never grows from this day forward. Which do we want? It means in your budget in your office, and I'm not talking for the camera now, it means in your budget in your office, 20% less. What's what 3.2 mean? The total, we figured it out today, the total amount of money the students give us to run the campus costs $20 million. Right today, they only give us $6.4 million. All the rest we're getting from other ways. So if we take another $1.6 million out of that, we don't have an enterprise anymore. And so then the argument got going today is, do we want quality or we want to assume the parents' responsibility?
And that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. We have 161 kids that decided, their parents decided at junior and high school level that the parents wouldn't accept any responsibility because they didn't qualify for aid, making $50,000, $100,000 a year. So the kids went independent at that time. Their need on this campus is $13,900 and some dollars, coming from the richest families, lots of them. Divorced families earn that too with no money, and they're independent.
Right.
But they can use up 4 times the aid for their students that their parents should be paying for the needy kids. 4 needy kids could go for one of them because the parents haven't played these games.
And then you have David Yepsen calling for the end of the Iowa tuition grant.
But that's there's in 2 years or 3 years, there's 1,000 less something per student from the federal government. So it's happening anyway. Nobody cares to pay. The public's tired of paying for kids' education. The parents won't pay for kids' education. Everybody wants a quality education. A union leader called me from Minneapolis. The kid goes here and he says, don't worry about the tuition increase. He said, we run a study here at the union office on all the schools, and for the dollar value, you're still the best one of all on our whole list. My kid's going to pay it next year. Strange, out of the blue, huh? I think there are people like this. I think there's 1,000 students that parents want them to have to be upward mobile.
And that, I mean, that's what Loyal Hayes was talking about.
Who?
Loyal Hayes, when he wanted to move from Fort Dodge. I mean,
Sure, sure.
What he wanted is
Mm-hmm.
a college that would do that for people.
And the parents that wanted a unique, beautiful place. Yeah, how do I do that? I don't want any of this crap in the TV. How do we play that one? You know, one of the interesting things is that Wayne L. Hayes, Wayne Hale, was that Wayne L. Hayes? No.
Loyal Hayes.
Yeah. One of the interesting things about President Hayes when he tried to start this school is he had some unique things that he felt that a parent wanted for their students, and that if he could provide that on his campus, he would have a going institution. And maybe it's taken until we're 100 years old to be able to have that unique institution for parents that want their child to have a better life, contribute more to life than they were able to do in their lifetime. And I sense that we're getting more and more parents that want to make that commitment to this institution. I always kind of envied Hayes. He had all this great idea and got this whole thing started and died before he finished the first year. I always thought that he was the smartest of all the presidents. He saw the beautiful opportunities of the school and then got out and left it to the rest of us.
Is there anything else you want to say
I don't think I've said anything yet.
about the future? Oh, yeah, yeah.
One's asked me, I came at the end of the, when I move my eyes around, is that hurting the credibility of this thing?
No,
I hate the ones that the people are doing that on TV. I always feel my eyes aren't doing that kind of a look.
No.
Okay. You got a blinking red light now. Does that mean you're at the end of the film?
We're running down. That's okay. We got a couple minutes.
Okay. People asked me when I came in the early 70s, and we were just getting through the student activist period, and they say, how are students different now? And of course, I was at two different institutions before coming here, and so I have those experiences to compare. But I'd like to not compare this on a national level. I'd like to compare it just to our own institution. And I found the students at that time very loyal to the school, enjoying it a great deal, and basically wanting to stay and live in Iowa. They wanted to go to school somewhere that was close to home, and they wanted the environment to be friendly. And often they wanted to be able to go home